Greetings and welcome to the Militant Negro YouTube channel. My name is JB and I am the Militant Negro. And today I want to talk about modern day slavery and the Mass Incarceration Bill. I'm going to take my text this morning from the U.S. Constitution, the 13th Amendment. Let the church say amen. Okay, here we go. 13th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution states, and I quote, "All persons are equal before the law, so that no person can hold another as a slave, and the Congress shall have power to make all laws necessary and proper to carry this declaration into effect everywhere in the United States, except for when crime is an issue." Section 1, 13th Amendment, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Let me repeat that for those who didn't get it the first time. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, here we go, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. What that means is if you are convicted of a crime in the United Slave States of America, you will then become a slave to whatever state or federal agency convicts your ass. You don't think that's true? You doubt what I'm saying? Let me break it down for you and make it as plain as I can. Listen up now, because this gets weird and it gets deep. In 1994, then President William Jefferson Clinton, better known as Horny Bill, signed into law the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act. This bill made it perfectly okay for people of color to be mass incarcerated and turned into modern day slaves. This is what happened. This bill consisted of 356 pages, and it provided for 100,000 new police officers. It provided $9.7 billion in funding for prisons. Let me repeat that for you. $9.7 billion with a B dollars for prisons, and an additional $6.1 billion with a B for funding for prevention programs, with significant input from police officers. Are you understanding what I'm saying here? 9.7 billion on top of 6.1 billion were provided from somewhere in the American budget to build up the prison industrial complex, to put people of color in jail. Now, why am I saying people of color? Well, let's just look at it like this. Here are some more facts and figures for you. There are approximately 12 to 13% of African Americans inside the American population. That means out of all the people in America, African Americans, Negroes, blacks, coloreds, whatever you want to call us, we only make up 12 to 13% of the population. Now, here is another fact that will blow your mind. In the jail inmate system, Negroes make up 35% of all jail inmates. In the prison system, Negroes make up 37% of all prison inmates. Period. Now let's review that. Negroes are only 12 to 13% of the American population, but inside the jail system, we are 37% of the population. And inside the prison system, we are 35% of the population. Do you understand what that means? We're over 3 times more apparently going to be in prison or jail than Caucasians. I didn't make that up. That's a statistic of incarcerated American males under the subcategory African American incarceration. That is where that came from. You can get that on Wikipedia if you don't believe me. Now, the next thing you got to ask yourself is why am I saying this is slavery? It's just locking up convicts, locking up lawbreakers, locking up citizens who don't follow the rules. Well, it's bullshit. You're locking up a lot of innocent people, first of all, because the system is rigged to take poor people, lock their ass up in jail, give them a bond that they cannot make because they're poor, deny them release because they don't make the bond, hold their ass in jail until their court date arrives, quickly convict them by giving them a shitty, no-talent public defender who works with the prosecution's office because public defenders are paid by the state to work on the behalf of a criminal. Now, if that doesn't sound bullshit to you, I don't know what is. They're going to give you a lawyer, the state is, that they pay for to defend you against the state. Yeah, that's just not going to work. Anyway, these people are railroaded into the prison system. And once you're in the prison system, you're stuck. There's no getting out. There's no get out of jail free card. You can't even pay $200 to get out of jail because you don't have $200. You are stuck. This is slavery, secondly, because anybody who's ever been to prison knows that you have to work in prison if you're able. You can't go to prison and lay on your ass. Otherwise, you don't get no soap, you don't get no toothpaste, you don't get no deodorant, and you definitely don't get no canteen to eat off of. And everybody knows prison food sucks. So you have to get a job. Here's the thing about working in prison, on a prison job. You might get 12 cents an hour at a high-paying prison job. You might work mostly for between 5 and 7 cents an hour for all types of prison industry jobs. And what a prison industry job is, some fat cat company out in the free world pays the prison a certain amount of dollars to take its prisoners and make them work for that industry. Be it road crews, furniture making, whatever it is. And they pay those prisoners between 5 and 12 cents an hour while doing manual labor that in the free world would at least start you at $9, $10 an hour. All that profit is pocketed between the prison system and the owner of that industry. That is what we call slave wages, aka slave labor. You take your ass to prison for a trucked up weed charge, you're going to be a slave until your sentence is up. Because you're going to go out there every day and you're going to work on a prison crew leased to a private company at a fraction of the cost of what that company will have to pay real labor in the free world. Now, if you don't know what slavery is, the definition of slavery is working for nothing because you are owned by your master. That is what slavery is. Mass incarceration is another term for modern day slavery. Mr. Bill Clinton and his wife Hillary, who, just by the way as a side note, is going to end up being the President of the United States in a few days. Those two engineered, put together, and pushed through the crime bill of 1994, which set up mass incarceration, which is a code word for lock them people of color ass up. It's slavery, people. That's all it is. Slavery. The prison industrial complex and privatized prisons are $1 billion a year industry. And you can't make $1 billion a year or more off of an industry that locks people in prison if the prison population is low. If prison cells are empty, all these private prisons, the prison industrial complex, they don't make a profit. So you tell me, what do you think they're going to do in order to keep prisons full? I can answer that for you in case you're wondering. Trumped up, false, non-existent bullshit charges, a court system that pushes convicts through to prison, making them convicts. Innocent till proven guilty, that went out the window centuries ago. Once you are arrested, booked, and processed, 10 times out of 10 for people of color, your ass is going to prison. Unless you got, affluenza? You're an affluent Caucasian kid, you run over 4 or 5 people with your car while drunk, but you can plead that you are a victim of affluence. Well, that'll get you off, maybe probation. Or if you're a Caucasian and you rape some little girl, you might get prison time at the community jail for a couple of weeks. You might get sent to a halfway house to rehabilitate. Now, if you're a person of color and you got a joint in your car, you're going to prison. If you're a person of color and you don't put your turn signal on before you make a right turn, you're going to prison. Probably going to die in lockup. If you're sitting in your car reading a book, waiting for your kid to come out of school, which is what you do every day, you're going to be accosted, shot down in the street, dead. Then you don't have to go to prison. The system is rigged for slavery. And we are still slaves today. We're not free. We were never free. We won't be free because there is no police accountability. Police lock you up for bullshit. You get in the system. You stay in the system. You go to prison. Then you are made to work for nothing. Period. I bet you didn't know that when you're in prison, you have to pay to be there. If you have any money on your books, they take some of that away from you for your food and room and board while they lock your ass up in prison. That's worse than any slave ever had it during historic slavery time. You can't win in America if you think there is no such thing as slavery. There's slavery everywhere. Even wealthy people who've never been to prison are slaves because they got to be slaves to keep the status that they have acquired. Let's repeat this for those who didn't get it the first time. Mass incarceration. The crime bill that Bill Clinton pushed through and made a law is slavery by any other name. It's slavery, people. They lock your ass up for doing virtually nothing, throw away the key, make money off of you while you're in prison. That's slavery. Now, November 8th, 2016, there are millions of people who are going to vote for Hillary Clinton. Some because they love her ass, some because she's a female, some because they don't know any better, and some because they just can't see themselves voting for Donald Trump. Newsflash, people. There is a third-party option. There's a woman named Dr. Jill Stein who has a running mate, Amajo Baraka, These two are running as Stein Baraka on the U.S. Green Party ticket. You won't lose your balls or get your fingers cut off if you vote third party for Stein Baraka. I know they tell you it's a wasted vote. Well, guess what? They lied to you. It ain't a wasted vote. It's a vote for two people who will change all that's wrong with the United States of America. Mass incarceration will stop. Free education will occur. Single-payer United Healthcare will be a possibility if Stein Baraka are elected. Slavery, mass incarceration, they're the same thing. Just like Clinton and Trump are the same people working for the same cause. I'm a Negro, and I'm tired of seeing other Negroes locked up in prison and their lives thrown away. Let's change this on November 8th, people. Stein Baraka. Let's stop mass incarceration, which again is another word for slavery. Namaste. Stay well. Be safe. I'll be seeing you. Don't forget what I'm saying. Mass incarceration is slavery.